This is our 1982 W150. We put a 5.7 liter Hemi in it out of a 2008 Ram 1500. So that sounds kind of complicated at first, but it's actually simpler than you'd think. So if you follow me, cameraman, I'm gonna open up the hood for these guys so they can see what we got under here. Okay. So, as I said, this is a 5.7 liter Hemi out of a 2008 Ram 1500. And basically what we did is we built our own standalone harness. Got this little fuse block deal here off of the internet. I forget which website. And this is a factory engine harness that we just chopped down to the bare necessities. And right now it doesn't have an air cleaner on it, so we'll probably hear about that. But yeah, that's the factory 2008 ECM flashed, and so the skim isn't on it anymore. And it's just a stock tune or whatever. So basically what we did is we built these custom plates that come off the stock engine cross member. I don't know if you can see that or not. So we built those plates there, and all we did was take a Magnum engine mount and build another plate on the engine that would fit the Magnum engine mount. Just very simple, you know, metal fab. I think they sell swap mounts for it too if you want to buy them. But we made them, and it's got an electric fan on here with a shroud. This is the factory 82 radiator. What else? The radiator fan's hooked up to a temperature probe, so it turns on after a certain temperature. The fan does. And we just hooked the factory power steering pump on the Hemi straight to the power steering gearbox. And we used the voltage regulator that's built into the ECU, so we don't have an external voltage regulator. And that's all factory there. And we bolted it right up to the 4-speed. The only thing we had to do to fit the transmission and engine together was cut the end of the input shaft off because it's a little too long. And it still fits into the pilot bearing fine. The Hemi actually uses the same pilot bearing as the old LA engine, and so it's almost a bolt-in swap when it comes to actually mounting it. And yeah, we took it down to the exhaust shop, the local shop there, and had them bend a custom exhaust for it because it was miles off. So that was really probably the most complicated part, was the exhaust, because it's pretty tight between the frame and the manifolds, as the cameraman's going to show you here. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a pretty simple swap. We hooked it up to the key and everything. It's just like factory driving it. It's got a heck of a lot more power though. And I'm gonna start it up for you guys. I mean, as you can see here, it runs quite well. We don't have a parking brake though, so hopefully it'll sit. I'll show you how it sounds here. So right now it's just got the 40 series Flowmaster exhaust on it, and it's honestly a little bit too loud for a daily driver. But it's not horrible. Runs great. You spike the throttle, it just revs right up. Show them the gas pedal, bud. It's got the gas pedal from the 1500 in it. It looks a little goofy in there, but it feels fine. It doesn't feel goofy or anything. Overall, it was a pretty simple swap we did. Everything works great. Truck drives phenomenal. Only thing it has wrong with it right now is there's a vibration in the front axle, but that's not from the swap. So yeah, I mean, we used all the factory, like the speedometers factory. You don't have to mess with that because it's in the transmission. The oil pressure switch, actually, we put the oil pressure switch off of the 82 right onto the Hemi right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is a 1982 oil pressure switch. So the factory oil pressure gauge works. And we got the AC here because we're gonna hook that up eventually. So we didn't take them off. Yeah, I mean, it just needs some wiring tidied up, but other than that, it's really clean looking swap. We got a plastic cover for it. It says 5.7 Hemi. We're gonna put that on there eventually too. Everything looks good. It was done properly. We spent a lot of time on it. But one thing we didn't do is spend a lot of money on it. And I'll tell you that story right now. So, I picked up the truck that this engine came out of for $500, which I realize that sounds awfully cheap, but it wasn't running, and I had never heard it run. So I bought it that way, brought it home, and tried to get it running, but it had horrible wiring issues inside the cab and like under the dash and stuff. So I just tore it apart and scrapped the rest of it because the whole reason in buying the truck was for the engine. The owner claimed that it was a good running engine, had no problems, right? So I stripped the wiring harness out, took the ECU out, scrapped the rest of the truck. So, next thing, we had to take it apart and put non-MDS lifters in it, and they were not super expensive. I think they were around $300, and we put new head gaskets on it, just, you know, for insurance. Cleaned up the heads, got the valves done. So probably $500 in that. And you got to remember, since I scrapped the rest of that truck, I only had like $200, $300 in this engine to start with. And the harness, when we put it together, it only cost about $100 for us to build that harness. And then we had to send the ECU to get flashed. I think that was $150 to remove the skim. And then other than that, it's just manual labor. You got to put it together. I mean, we put a new clutch in it too, but I don't really count that as swap cost because it's more of a maintenance thing. But yeah, it's a factory 5.7 flywheel, and the clutch kit from the 82 fits right on it. So it's a really simple swap. It almost bolts right together. Only thing you have to cut is that input shaft. You got to cut like 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Yeah, it's a great running truck. You could drive it every day if you want. It's pretty awesome. This is our 5.7 swapped first gen. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a nice truck. Go get groceries with it. I mean, heck, you can drive it every day if you want to. Take it to work. It's a great running truck. Very inexpensive the way we did it. Not everybody's gonna, you know, get the opportunity to get a donor truck at the cost that I did, and I understand that, but it was only, I would say, roughly $1,500 for this swap, and a lot of manual labor because you have to do everything yourself, of course. Yeah, that's probably going to be it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think about the truck, and like, comment, subscribe. Have a nice night.